And we're back here for another BMF recap review show here at Big Gold Belt Media. As tonight, folks, Lucas and I, we're going to be jumping into episode 8, Push It to the Limit. Okay. That sound like Ross a little bit there? No? Okay. All good?
Not at all. You sound like the Caucasian fellow who just learned the song. And they're like, push it to the limit, push it, I push it. Like
Stop it.
that's like you sounded.
Ross also doesn't sing the hook, so I gotta pass there. But nonetheless, folks, yep, we're getting into tonight's episode. Y'all know what it is. Jump in the comments, let us know your thoughts about tonight's episode. Get a part of the conversation in the chat, in the description, however you want to do it. But you know, our recap review dropping each week after the conclusion of each episode. So, one, appreciate all the love for all the previous episodes, all the interviews, and all that other stuff. We're working so hard. We got so much more to come. So just stay tuned because y'all already know what it is. We're going to keep grinding, hitting all the hottest and latest shows that you all want us to cover. But without further ado, we're getting right into this episode here. And we see the Flenory brothers, Meech and T, as they got everything they ever wanted. They just got to figure out how to move it. What did you think about this sort of soft opening now as it kind of it gives this look, this little mystique as like they're kings now. They got the new mansion, like everything is on and up now that they got the deal done with the Colombians and a lot of other news too. We'll talk about in a little bit. But what was your thoughts about the beginning of this episode?
That you can tell when black people get money. I don't know if it's a universal thing that you have to dress in white when you get money.
Of course.
But for some odd reason, I don't know what it is. It's a symbol for black people. It's a symbol of wealth. It's a symbol of success. Because again, all white ain't something you can wear every day because all white gets dirty. You only wear all white when you basically saying, I can throw this away and it'd be perfectly fine. So it's the ambiance that comes along with the pounds and pounds and pounds of cocaine that they have here and the pan up shot that they do here to show them in their all white. Even homeboy, I forget his name that fast. Jesus. The third guy who was up there who told them about everything that happened to K9. Who? Mm-hmm. Who been all white? Like it's like everybody's in all white here.
Yeah.
So I guess it's supposed to put that like mystique on it. Like this is a dreamlike atmosphere. As you said, everything has come to fruition. Like it couldn't be any better. And for us as black folks, we symbolize that by wearing all white or throwing all white parties or whatever Puffy was doing in the Hamptons at one point in time.
Yeah, and I also think, you know, I can't remember has it been the series, but we know by the documentary that Meech absolutely glorified Scarface. So yeah, of course he would have to do these things, you know, to create his sort of his fantasy, bring that to real life. And yeah, mansion all white, why not?
I never understood why people in the drug game glorified Scarface. You think you would want to glorify someone who possibly got away with what they did and not went out in a blaze of glory the way Scarface did? But I mean, hey, to each his own.
Yeah. So next we see what else Meech has been up to, and he has purchased the car wash, which by his definition or description, this is for them to be able to hide in plain sight. And along with that, you know, while the cars are coming in, they're able to load up the cars right in there. Also, that they do not have their name attached to it, but this is also a means of them getting cash, maybe even cleaning cash and whatnot. Or yeah, of course, cleaning cash, and then obviously getting the money back to the stash house. And then we learn about major news here with K9 getting got by the feds in LA, which, you know, T rightfully says, well, I guess that means they're probably on to us too. And Meech instantly says, fuck all that. We got things to do. What'd you think about the conversation between the two of them? And Hoop was in there too, but in the car wash.
Yeah. Hoop don't matter here, but it's true to both of their characters so far. Like Terry is the one who's always concerned about the business. Meech just saw it as a power vacuum. He's like, oh, if he gone, oh man, we could double triple up then, because he's no longer a piece on the board. It just shows just the way both of them so far in this series they have viewed business. Meech almost views anything of this nature as an opportunity. Terry is more cautious, so he's like, wait a minute, if this happened, let's see how the dominoes would fall and how it could connect back to us. He got hit. They've been following him. You've been hanging around him so a lot. We've had meetings with him. Of course, they would connect the dots to us. But Meech is just like, so, like, they ain't got nothing on us. But then it rings true to the person that Meech is. Even if you go back to the documentary, and Meech was always like, oh, I don't talk business over the phone.
Yeah.
Like, K9's my friend. Like, that's all you can ever prove. And I'm not going to let his hiccup stop business. So, again, all it does is highlight just the character dynamics of the two brothers. Because at this point, we fully understand this will always be T, and this will always be Meech. Meech will always view things of this nature, of anything, as an opportunity to grow. Terry is just more cautious. He's always concerned about, hey, what happens if anything can lead back to us?
Yeah. So, now getting back to their crib, the mansion and whatnot, got the PAs on board, and they need to holler at Sterling, because at this point now they just got to figure out how to move everything. That's the big goal. But also, because there's a lot of back and forth going on here, back to the car wash, they need to go to Ohio because they need to connect with Stone. Now going to the police station, we've seen that there is a little change in the hierarchy here, because there's a new commander in Damian Goddard. And he mentions to everybody that, the DA got K9 in custody in LA, 50 kilos on him. Detective, I'm gonna give it to you. And Detective Brian has some comments and whatnot. But also, because of this, that means now there has to be a joint task force with the DEA, which we all know when. Waiting. This is it's a big thing for a lot of reasons, but I will also give this to you. What is your thoughts about Detective Bryant's comment? We got this new commander in here. What do you think how that changes things? Jen's comment about the DEA, and ultimately the DEA being now brought in, which we see who is a part of the leading force with that, which I'm very excited to talk about.
Well, clearly we all know how they view the DEA, and no cop likes any other people coming in to take over their case. That's automatic no. They don't care if you have rank over them, if you even have better evidence than them. None of that matters. So in that aspect, Jen and Bryant's response to the DEA made perfectly good sense. Even down to the fact, like, we know how to deal with them better than you. And she admitted, like, you may do, but basically, fuck y'all, this is still my case. Like, she's very adamant, like, this is still my case no matter what. The more interesting part is that Bryant, at the beginning of it, said the exact same thing Meech said, which is, if K9 is off the board, it creates a power vacuum. So that kind of even shows you just how connected he is to the way the streets move, because a lot of cops may not even see it that way. Not in this time frame. Like, nowadays, yes, but in the 80s or something like, they wouldn't even see that as that big of an issue. But somebody get hit with 50 keys, clearly it's a power vacuum being created there. What's going to happen now? Because it got to lead to more murders, because at that point, his territory has to be broken up. I think that's the more important part of Brian's conversation here.
Yeah, and also just to add to that, when Brian was saying this, there was a few people in the background shaking their head, like, I don't know if you're aware or not, and I probably should have went back and looked, but I'm pretty confident Brian and the two other cops that were black were both like, listen, bodies are going to be dropping. And while it seems to be a sense of agreement across the board, Meech understands that this now causes more of a demand, but the feds understand with more demand does come more violence, bodies dropping, and everything. But with that,
the important part is when Bryant says it's a power vacuum, keep in mind he's saying that because of the way the streets normally would move. He isn't even aware right now. It can't be a power vacuum. Meech is the power vacuum at this point. Terry are the power vacuum. Like, they have everything. You're not going to cause violence where they got to move anything, because if you do, they'll cut you off, and then you froze out. So it's like, K9 territory immediately would go to Meech. Meech thing is, I need to hop on it before someone else comes to us to buy it.
But also, Detective Brian is under the assumption that Meech doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
So,
but that's what I mean. He's in the dark of just how big Meech is currently right now.
Yeah.
So he's speaking just from a normal cop standpoint, growing up in that neighborhood, which is 100% right. That will create that vacuum. But we already know, the audience knows, can't be a vacuum. Meech got more keys than anybody humanly possible right now.
I feel like there's a couple other things we should kind of point out here. This new commander now, so fresh new eyes, probably going to come in to prove a point. Definitely going to make
just give him 2 episodes
for sure. But there's still bias towards who you like being crooked. You know, who the ones within the division you allow to do certain things and whatnot. Did you think that Bryant was by any means sort of what's the word? I won't say reserved, but maybe hesitant with this because he realized he may not be able to operate the way he does? Let's not forget, there were some very important clues brought up today that Meech brought up at the very end of this episode about what he does off the books. Does this now, with this new evaluation, and as you said, getting caught up to speed, taking a look around the office and whatnot, and what's going on, do you think this may turn a set of, and also too, like there's still drugs missing? Oh, they did get the drugs back. Never mind.
They got the
right. But yeah, do you think this now puts a new set of eyes, which then makes Brian operate different here?
No, and I'm gonna say no because of the way Brian responded when he started talking. Brian responded like a dog who needs to establish dominance early on.
True.
So he interrupted his briefing to tell, like, no, this is what's going to happen here. Like it's that need to be correct, because in all honesty, he hid everything from Beckwith. Beckwith knew nothing about what Brian was doing. So I don't think his tactics would change, because technically he ain't gonna trust the new guy like he didn't trust the old guy.
Why you think why you think Beckwith got reassigned?
I think it's because of he had a lot of blown task force. Like they had a lot of blown task force all of a sudden out the blue, where they just had all these cops respond and they got nothing. Like, you can't have that happen but so many times before they say, maybe we got to move you to somewhere else. Or I didn't even look up the history of this character, if this is a real character, because
me neither.
I mean, we know we live close enough to Baltimore. We understand how crooked cops can be, and how people can get moved around different places when you are crooked. So from that aspect, I didn't look into it to see, but I'm just assuming, like, you screwed up on enough task force, sir. The bodies ain't dropping, the drugs ain't stopping. You got to go.
All right. We're gonna see what happens with this new commander, and if that changes anything within the police station and the hierarchy and whatnot, or what folks think they can and cannot get away with. We'll see. The corruption. There's the word I haven't used yet.
You already know.
Yeah,
it's
know.
Ain't no straightforward cops besides Nancy on Your Honor.
You know what? Yeah. What was interesting, really quick, to go back to, I mean, I forgot to mention this, but when Brian definitely, because I feel you, and I do agree with your point that he wanted to make sure he inserted his presence there, but I also thought like maybe he was like concerned, so he wanted to ask his reservations about what was happening, just so he can see and what he may need to do to protect himself. But Jen looked at him, and I realized that while Jen was always suspicious about him being dirty, I thought that look may be that, but it looks like that also may be off the table right now. I'm not gonna say they trust each other on that note, but it doesn't seem like she's after him anymore.
It seemed like general concern when he was asking those questions.
That's the word.
It didn't seem like somebody. It didn't seem like somebody who was trying to hide something or trying to hide him doing dirt. He was legitimately asking questions that all of them should have raised. Like, this guy goes, this power vacuum is created. Why can't we question him? We know how to deal with this man more than you. This is our city. Like, everything he's saying is what a clean cop would say. That's what makes dirty cops good. It's because they're still good at their job. They choose to bend the corner when necessary.
Yeah. So we at Cleveland, Ohio now because they go to see Stone, and Meech is laying out the plan. Got the Columbia Connect, purest, cheapest. I need you to introduce me to your man Bleak. Back to the detectives, we now get the return after shit. What has it been since the first episode now? And this is the 8th episode. Leslie Jones returns back to BMF as Agent Chambers of the DEA. You did talk about sort of what her stance was and how the DEA was going to handle it and whatnot. Even before this, I should mention that Jen also slided in there that she had fun the other day. No comment. But is there anything else?
We know how you felt about that. That's why I didn't even bring that up. Not yet. We'll bring it up later in this episode.
Yeah, but I've seen that she's feeling very wholesome right now. Talking about, the other day. I had such a fun time the other day. Like, okay. And like, what's funny too? Because Jen gives you the more she's also not dirty cop, right? We don't give her dirty cop.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Did she not buy illegal pills to crush into drugs to put back in the evidence locker?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. To protect her ad, she got looped in something she had no business being involved with. But I was gonna say, like, the business and pleasure thing, like the fact that like y'all did what y'all did outside of work, but when you talk about the stuff out of work in work as if like it ain't awkward or anything, and she's just openly talks about, I had so much fun the other night, and then I was like, okay, well, I clearly see it ain't gonna be long before she just basically brings up the other exchange of words that they've had, and she certainly didn't let me down here, and in fact she really let me down.
Waiting for him to blame them cheeks. That's all that was. That's the way she throws symbols. That's how we women throw symbols at you. Like, and I really did enjoy the night before. Like, you be bringing it up for no reason.
Yeah, I expect that on a phone call, out of work, them in the car, but not inside of the.
This the 80s, sir. This is the 80s.
No text.
Everything happened in person.
Yeah, she could have. Yeah. So Leslie Jones returns. So to kind of switch up the questions a little bit here, what is your excitement of the return of Leslie Jones as Agent Chambers?
I have been waiting for Leslie Jones to get back on the scene here. One thing, I think she's a really talented actress. I have no doubt she can do this role. It's going to be funny, but I think she can play this role so serious and nail it, because that's what most comedics do. When you put them in a role that is based in a dramatic world, but it still leaves spaces for humor.
Yeah.
And then we understand, technically, the first time we saw her in episode 1 was 30 years in the future. So here we get to see them establish this task force, see how long Leslie is around, and just watch her whoop on people. That's all I want to see, Joe.
Yeah. Like, also remember, she was with Detective Brian too.
On Leslie Jones, so
excuse me. Also remember in that advanced scene that she was with Detective Brian too. Where is Detective Jen? Doesn't make me excited at all. But I'm very excited for Leslie Jones, and I said it in our first review that like sometimes I just don't think she gets a lot of credit for just the
credit she should.
Yeah, you look at her, sure, she's funny, sure, she's very outspoken at times, and her charisma is through the roof, but like, let it be known that like that first scene she came in serious, a little bit of joke tidbits there, but she wasn't playing, and I'm waiting more for that banter, because I like Steve and I like Kelly, and I think adding the three of them together in this change in scenes may start to steal the show each and every week. So we're gonna see. So we get T, and he goes to the club to go meet Boom, sees Markeisha, and basically let her know, like, listen, I gotta connect. So I am the supplier, not the buyer. And he said Boom either gets down, get rolled, or get ran over, and paid his debt and rolled out. And didn't give her too much love. Let her have her girls' night. Wasn't doing like he usually do, but he definitely came and stunning on her real quick and rolled out. What did you think about googly-eyed Markeisha at this point when she heard that T is now a boss?
Well, we fully understand how I'm trying not. You be setting me up to sound horrible towards women. That's what it is.
You can always plead the fifth, or you can also just toss it back.
We understand women in the drug game. Look here, they will leave you for the next hot dude in
The
a
drug
heartbeat.
game, just the
I
drug
mean,
game.
yeah, see how I saved myself? I said the drug game. You won't get me to say any other thing. Like she see T over this joint, as a great philosopher said once, doing numbers like Sudoku. So she, like, boom, is left to the side now. She like, oh, you the boss now? We saw like, but she's already like T. I think this is partially her also seeing her way out from Boom. Like T can fully take care of her if he's running it like that now. So Boone is no longer necessary to her. Granted, she does want to keep the relationship, as she said last episode, because they have kids together. But clearly, she feels like she ain't got to deal with him that much more. And that was a big boss move. T knew exactly what he was doing. I'm gonna come up to you and tell your man, I'm running things now. You might as well hit the Benny Siegel joint, either he get down or lay down. Like you might as well just finish the whole line out there. But again, we understand this game. We understand how the women in this game, in this show, at times would move from that type of news, and Markeisha did immediately. Yep, see, I corrected myself. I didn't say all women.
There we go. So back in Ohio, Cleveland, we get the Bleak meeting. This is very simple. Maybe not too much to talk about here, but what did you think about Meech's approach in seeing was Meek going to get down or not? If Bleak was going to get down or not?
I'm about to say Meech or Bleak. To me, this is just normal Meech. Like this is how Meech plays his cards. Yeah. And then he lays it out, and then he's so straightforward when he talks to people. Like, hey, this is the opportunity. This is going to be the money that's presented. Either you get with it, or basically I'll sell to somebody else and put you out of business. Make it your choice here. Mm-hmm. Like I think this is just what the steps we're saying here is the establishment of the BMF brand being nationwide.
Yeah,
because at this point he's recruiting bosses that are technically still his soldiers because they still depend on him.
Yeah,
and this was just one of the first steps of him doing so, and him establishing like what business is, what we always heard through the documentary, like BMF in the end is family. We saw how this progressed, how they're all sitting around the table, they're all eating. Like it's not a situation where at no time do they all feel like Meech is the boss when he actually is the boss.
Yeah. It's a lot of people getting promotions here. You know, this is just, you know, as we mentioned, the new commander Gar comes in, and all of a sudden, like, he's running things, and actually that's kind of a theme of this episode in terms of just like everything has changed. People have gotten promotions, but there's new opportunities for everybody. You may want to rework what you thought was the way to go and get on board, because we all get money here. So it was cool, but like I think, to be honest, these are some of my favorite scenes that are very redundant in BMF, is when you give Demetrius an opportunity to have sort of a almost like a silhouette. He just stands there and they give him the full body shot, then the facial shot, and he gets to talk his shit and like at point you think like, oh, somebody's definitely gonna smack him, but like understanding like, nah, he just got that confidence, he just got that swag. He gonna lay his cards down, and you better either have a better hand or you might as well just go, walk away from the table. That's what it is. So like I like these scenes, and we get them about once every episode, and here's the one.
Hey man, it's once or twice every episode at this point. At this point, he speaks his Meechisms, and then everybody be like, oh, that makes sense. But again, this was the 80s. You know, people got to remember, folks wasn't as sensitive in the 80s as they are now. Like you can talk to people this way and they not take it as disrespect the way they would take it as disrespect now.
Yeah. So Terry back, and he doing his part with Hoop, getting some drivers here. First of all, we get Saki Auntie and Auntie Rose here. And he basically just calls out the play here. He says, listen, you got to make sure no one gets caught like Denise.
There you go.
Yeah, so you got to get folks who know how to blend in or knows how to identify the threat. and do what they got to do. But like I said, we gotta stay low key, especially all the information he's telling you about the things you don't do. Like the one he says, like the gas station will call 50 on you. I wasn't even hip to that. I didn't even know 50 would just make anonymous calls and be like, saw somebody with a lot of money.
Because you don't necessarily know like who the gas station attendant is and how they view their own life, and you pulling out big bankrolls of money. One, not only could they tell the cops, it may not even be them telling the cops as much as you'll be remembered then, because you know what they'll say is, man, I do remember this guy or girl came in here, man, she had lots of money and she was peeling it off and handing me something. So what you want to do when you're moving weight or anything of this nature, not even state to state, they could be through the city, you need to be inconspicuous, like as plain as humanly possible. I love the point that he said, hey, no jury because you're sticking out. But it should be like, but in the 80s, they didn't think about it as much as we do now. Like, no, certain shoes are no-go, certain clothes are no-go. Like all this shit. He's 100% right about if you stay in the hotel, get rid of it. No receipts, no matchbooks, none of that bullshit, because the first thing they're going to do is track you back to where you came from. Nah, you get none of that unless you get the fake ones to throw them off and then fuck their head
up. So yeah, I was going to kind of ask you, what did you think about Terry being the one to give this speech?
Odd. Odd. When have we known Terry to be this person so far in this show where he should be giving this speech to drivers? Like, come on, man. You was running scared. Your girl had to get you out of it when y'all was going through the city because you didn't know what you were doing. I mean, come on, man. You almost poisoned the baby with cocaine infamil. Like, we can't trust you with the drivers here. I'm assuming because of the business that Meech is like, well, if you're in the business with him and Charles, like maybe you understand how drivers should move. But no, he didn't necessarily tell them something that was groundbreaking. Like, no, be inconspicuous, man. Don't stick out.
Yeah.
That's the case for, I don't care if you're a corner boy. The job is to not stick out and not wear the corner boy uniform and not wear the drug dealer car driver uniform, like having a fancy jewels on or the hoop earrings and all that shit. Take all that shit out. You need to be as plain as humanly possible.
So Lamar and Monique, as Lamar brings in the ashes of Blackie. And
quick question for you. I got a quick question for you and the audience here, because I was waiting for you to get to this moment. Didn't he leave his dog at the church? When did he go back to get the dog? Because the guy clearly said he left his dog up there. So, people, I just need everybody to let me know, when did Lamar go back to get the dog? Because clearly Pastor pulled the gun out on him. So he wasn't going back in there with Pastor from the east side to go get the dog. So when was he able to go pick up Blackie?
Yeah. I'll just go to the next point. I don't feel like I need to answer anything. But with that, he's trying to create family, and Monique is like, listen, I got something that's gonna make you feel better. And my man was like, oh, pussy? But no, she pulls out a bag, little bit of that snowman, so they can go down a little nostalgia lane amongst the two of them, like they used to do back in the day. A little trip down memory lane to do like they used to do. What were you thinking at this point? She playing the game or is she falling for him?
I figured here she was playing the game. She was trying to set him up,
or even something even way different in this matter.
Like, remember, if she always said you got to attack him differently, and the goal for her is to thinking, if I get closer to him, I'm his weakness. Let's see what happens. Granted, I would have been like Lamar too when she said I got something for you. I had to throw pussy too, but like, I wasn't thinking she would pull out the Taylor Swift and be like, yeah, we could do this and take us back down memory lane. Like, that's an odd thing, but I'm guessing that is a former connection that they had, so it would make sense, because again, the goal is to get him closer to her so she can attempt to kill him. That's her whole goal, to drop his guard down. And with her, Lamar's guard is non-existent.
Yeah.
It's like he does not see danger at all when he's with her.
Yeah. We'll talk more about that in a minute. So we got Meech and them at the park chilling, watching the operation do what they do. And as I said, it's easy money, easiest money I've ever made. But Bleak crew pull up and they start to throw hands. And by the way, Stone was getting beat out there.
Got his head beat in.
Yep, got up off that bench just to get beat. But they said, listen, man, y'all stealing our customers and whatnot. And he says, listen, I gave Bleak an opportunity. And he says, well, I also essentially he's paraphrasing and says, like, I will give y'all an opportunity too, because I always look out for my people. So choice is yours if you want to be down on that. But we know down the line that all these folks that came out here throwing hands were unloyal as ever and quickly jumped left Bleak, took not only just them, but took the rest of Bleak people and was like, we done. Because they seen how Meech and them was rolling. At the Flenory home. Oh boy, what a time. Also, amazing to talk to Russell last week. Listen, I love that Russell avoided no questions. All the questions y'all wanted to ask. Y'all want to ask about him coming through the door twice, the strip club scene, the intimacy with Christine as Mabel. Like, I asked them all. He was cool, man. I don't even be trying to ask questions like that, but some of it's so comedic that like he had a fun time with it.
Russell already told us in the first interview. Here, man. You think he gonna back away from a question here?
Hey, my man.
Real men answer questions.
That's right.
Unlike a other show that they're in competition with, where somebody doesn't answer questions. Right?
You better not. She caught a stray bullet on Black Twitter the other day. People talking, man. I'm leave it alone. But at the Flint, huh?
I said, we're just gonna move on to the next question.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, new content coming soon. So at the Flenory home, Charles is just sitting there getting ready to play some music, and Mabel come busting through the door because she wants to borrow Lucille's skillet. And after that, she goes right at Charles, and Charles says, man, you can't be doing this, man. This is dangerous. She said, well, I get the more dangerous, the wetter I get. Do you want to find out right now? As they are getting spicy inside the kitchen, and I can't help but to think, Lucille is about to like send them both to the shadow realm if she gets down there and see this happening. And she throw temptation after temptation after temptation. We can't do this here. How about a telly? And even though that he wants to stop, she says, what if I don't want to stop? I'm having too much fun. And then he's like, oh, get one of those hotels with the vibrating beds. Okay, so I will exploit my age here. I have never heard of a vibrating bed ever.
Wait.
Ever.
How's that humanly possible?
Ever.
How's that humanly possible?
I think
still exist to this day.
Yeah, but not in the. I'm guessing it's not in the capacity of what that was.
Yeah.
Like
same exact thing.
Like the massage beds, I get that.
When you put the quarters in it, and then
I never.
Yeah, that still exists to this day. Granted, I would hope you're not visiting the establishments that they have these beds in, but they do still exist to this day. Like that's and then back then, that was a big feature. So it wasn't necessarily something where it's frowned upon like it is now, but back then that was a big feature. It didn't always have to do with sex. The massage thing, it relaxes you, the vibration, while you're trying to sleep.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Anyway, Lucille comes down I swear I didn't think this scene was going to be the way it was, but there is some distance between Mabel and Charles. But Lucille comes down. It's like, hey, girl, I haven't seen you in a while. A couple of Sundays, da. Would you like some tea? And Mabel looks over at Charles. Was like, yeah, I would love some tea. And, they go, he goes out the kitchen because he is playing with fire. What did you think about this whole scene and how it was shot? And
this is
just a change.
One of the truest conversations between two women ever. When Lucille came down that step, hey girl, and then next thing is, I ain't seen you in a month of Sundays. There they have a black writer, because I ain't never heard a white person ever say that. I know black people. I say that to people. So I do then like, okay, the authenticity is through the roof here. But here I didn't necessarily know how close they were. I didn't know that they actually had this close of a friendship.
Yeah, well, I mean, they said it before, because they said that, you know, when she was going through the situation with her husband,
Yeah.
that you know, they were there for her. So there is sort of a friendship and whatnot, but like, yeah.
But and I grew up in this atmosphere. I grew up in places like this. Like, I can age myself where I remember stuff like this. I remember certain neighbors being able just to walk in and be like, "Your mama here?" Like, no. Well, good. I'm gonna take this pan, let her know I got it, and I'll bring it back later. Like, I grew up when stuff like this happened. So that part wasn't shocking at all, but that also shows a closeness that could even be something that could happen.
Yeah.
And then it makes it more scandalous, everything between her and Charles, because not only is it Charles betraying Lucille, she's also betraying Lucille, because they're close friends. Like, that added a layer that I didn't know existed fully.
Yeah. I just quickly went to look at who the writer of this episode is, and it is Rogue McAleese, who I'm not quite sure, but I can tell you one thing: Rose is not black.
And that means Christine and they improvised that line, because ain't nowhere in hell no white woman came up with "I ain't seen you in a month of Sundays." Like, that is something. I literally had somebody tell me that today. Like, boy, I ain't seen you in a month of Sundays. Where you been? Like,
I'm not quite sure.
That is not lingo that crosses racist there, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what Rose ethnicity is, but I can tell you one thing: Rose is
Italian. I'm assuming by that last name.
Yeah, well, she ain't yeah, she's not black, but yeah, I do agree. Like, that statement is way down the pipeline of words I would ever say. I may die before I ever say that. I've never said it.
Oh, dude, I say that to people all the damn time. I'm old. Damn it, I'm just showing my age that I'm actually coming up with people. But like, boy, I ain't seen you in a month of Sundays. Where the hell you been?
So after Markeisha and T make up, they go shopping. Now I could be wrong, but I'm very confident that T purchased 3 Avirexes or 4. And I thought,
look here, I don't know. I remember Avirex when I was growing up, but that was in the 90s, not in the late 80s. So I don't know I didn't know if they were called Kanai jackets.
Oh,
Pele. They look like called Kanai jackets a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know what brand. I don't think it was an Avirex though.
How much was Avirex back in that? I know were they like 1,000 in the 90s?
I remember getting my hands on the Avirex jacket, and it was like $800.
Yeah, them things were. They ain't no lie. Them things were worn.
The one I had my hands on was the varsity jump. So it had the year on the back, Avirex on the bottom, leather sleeves. Like that jump was. That jump just said that, you know, I somebody.
That's the truth. That and the Eddie Bowers made.
Eddie Bauer was perfect for trapping, Joe. Especially the tech Eddie Bauer jumps. You know how many different places you can put like your stash at? Like, cops especially in DC, they used to be thrown off because they were pat certain areas. But in Eddie's, they had hidden compartments and everything. Man, not the big like triple fat goose Eddie Jones. Them the Jones you're trying to get robbed for. But the tech jackets, them Jones was, man, them Jones came in handy.
Yeah. So T and Markeisha go shopping because after Markeisha just disrespected him last week, she's back full on deck now, wanting to go shopping and whatnot. And we see T giving love to his Arab connected, letting him know how far along he's come along, just for context here. But you know, after that, Markeisha says, "I want you to do something for me," and they go back to her place, and she is just talking extremely dirty here. talking about I love it when you beat this shit up, ready for round 3. And I'm like, okay. Okay. But now that he's a boss, because you're a boss now, you gotta start acting like one. And I'm thinking to myself, like, where is this going? I'm like, she about to try to divide the brothers here, but instead, by her saying
divide the brothers, she was right.
Oh well, yeah, possibly. But yeah, and you're gonna start acting like one. So I want you to cut your rat tail, because you are your own man now, T.
Oh man, separate you from Meech.
Yeah, but what a contradicting statement of, oh, he's his own man, but you making decisions for him.
That's what women do. That's what women do. They hype your head up and then make you do what they want you to do. What you
think about this this whole development now? The rat tail's gone and he's pussy whipped. So what you think?
It's Markeisha putting her foot in. Her understanding, like, she got a gap here and she needs to take full advantage of it right now.
Yeah.
To mold T into the person she needs him to be, for him to support her. For him to replace Boone, he has to be a certain type of person. Yeah. And everything she's doing is leaning him into that area. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Did you have a rat tail growing up?
I did. I look like it, don't I?
Nah. Not that. I had to ask because of the age gap. I remember having one that was like in the late 80s. I had one.
Yeah. What made you cut yours? Story I'll never forget.
I went from having it and caring about having a little rat tail in the back, and then I wanted the line fade jump, and it was either one or the other, because back then, they charged you to keep the rat tail going on your haircut, and I wanted the little swoop joint in my head to look cooler.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that I got swindled because my mom was like, so do you want to make some money? I was like, yeah. So she's like, all right, cool. So she gave me the money, but you need to get your hair cut. I was like, okay, cool. So I had to use the money that I was given to pay for my haircut that I had to get.
That's a good move there.
Top three swindles of my entire life right there. And another one had to do with a birthday gift. So you could imagine as a birthday in January, you could imagine how that went down.
Oh, hey, look here. You ain't got to tell me, as somebody who shares a birthday with a sibling that's older and who birthday parties ended when the older siblings' birthday parties ended. Like cakes and all. Because if you can't get a full sheet cake back in the day where you split it in half, and one name on one side and another name on the other side. Yeah. When one sibling gets too old for birthday parties, we all too old for birthday parties. I fully understand.
Yeah,
hey, man. I understand about, man, black mothers, man. None but love for them, because boy, did they make a way out of no way. But Christmas came every year in February. I didn't know what the hell it meant to get a Christmas gift in December.
So at the roller party now, wait, did I miss something? Because
I feel like you skipped a huge thing, because we went from Markeisha and T to the roller party.
Oh yeah. I definitely did. I definitely skipped. I'm tripping. I skipped a couple of things real quick. And my bad, folks, for that. So how did I skip so much? I'm looking at myself like, what in the world here? So the Flenory home and whatnot, we got that. We talked about the detectives. Oh, so yeah, I skipped a bunch. And my apologies, folks. So the detectives now, Jen and Brian, talking about what records they're not going to get to the DA, and then they bring Hooper to question. And Jen asked about B. Mickey, but Brian lied. Well, also kind of truth. Said I haven't heard from him in a while, but of course, because he has no clue. Yeah. But he says, so yeah. And then beyond that too, we see we go back to now at the car wash, this little kid getting ready to get his little hands up in the shaft. So this is how he can prove that he's down with BMF. But a lot of emphasis on Hoop as the detectives are there, but we also see that Hoop is also it involved heavily with the operations. As again, he has this little kid. I think he's related to him. I don't know, but he's the one
Yeah, I think
stuffing,
it was his little brother or something.
possibly, yeah,
Yeah.
getting his hands up in the back of the truck
Is
so
that
he
Blue
could
Da
put
Vinci when he grows up?
bro, you better not. He said don't play with his name here. So we get Meech counting money, but Bleak comes in. Of course he does. Says, man, the crew quit and they took the rest of them in. So, and he says, listen, if you want to be down, be down. You can't be out here for yourself. We all get money. And he says, but listen, long as you don't put Terrell or my cousin on, we good, which is the other folks in Ohio that he had his run-in with. Back to Monique and Lamar, because they're kicking it. And Lamar getting all sentimental here, talking about why everything I love, I lose. And she says, you ain't lose me. They kiss. And she said, you're the first guy to ever make me feel beautiful, and all this other stuff about back in the day. And Lamar had all the girls after him, but he only wanted her. But then they vowed to take a bath with one another. But when that happens, Mo gets up, she gets the strap, and she's ready to end this. But she gets cold feet. What did you think about Monique not being able to go fully through with her plan?
I think I saw this coming. Like, she's not prepared to do what's necessary to get rid of Lamar. And playing those angles and bringing up all that the past life between them two. I've never thought she was fully over everything with Lamar. And this shows it. She's not. So she just can't be so cold-hearted and think she was going to be able to kill him in that situation. I think all her emotions kicked in, because you see her pacing around the room like she's really thinking about it. Like, fuck, why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? It's because of the feelings that are involved there.
Yeah.
Like, in the end, you're being truthful. He was the first person to treat you like you were beautiful. Like, you are attracted to the point that when everybody wanted him, he wanted you. Like, all of that, that's a lot of emotions being involved. Some people aren't built for being able to take somebody out in that atmosphere. Well, my other thing was here, y'all need to stop acting like taking a bath with another human being is at all attractive. It is two people sitting in dirt. That shit ain't sexy to nobody humanly possible. That's the most disgusting thing in the world.
So you said you were saying no to Cash Doll?
Say all that, but we're gonna shower first, and then we can get in it. Like, we gonna shower first, and then we can get in the tub and sit like Tay Diggs and Sanaa Lathan and Best Man. But we just not sitting in there in people's stew, and we ain't bathed already first.
People's
like,
stew.
Nah.
I can't believe how much I just accidentally skipped talking about the Abrams jacket. Anyway, Meech and T back at the house talking.
I'm just waiting for you to get to the. I know why you skipped it. I'm just waiting for you to get to the point why you skipped it. But go ahead.
Meech and T at the house. T talking about he got the new drivers. Markeisha calls him talking about some hey babe, and Meech is like, I told you to stay away from poison pussy. And Meech says, I just don't trust her. But T said you need to be worried about B Mickey. And he said, man, forget all that. Just make sure you're not late to the roller party tomorrow. Then we get T and Markeisha going to dinner because they did everything but eat. And she says they got a surprise for you under here. Come find out. She's completely naked, and they get at it inside of this restaurant that they were supposed to go eat at that they never ate. That had but they had gender neutral bathrooms back then. Look how forward and inclusive.
That was because they could do coke in those bathrooms. Like in the 80s, if they had gender neutral bathrooms, so everybody could do coke. Like,
okay.
It was nothing about being like progressive. It was y'all more comfortable doing y'all drugs together. Let's put y'all in the same bathroom.
So back at the Flenory home, Meech comes in with gifts to Mama and Nicole. Also, nope, Charles did not get any gifts. But he let them know, like, listen, we got the roller cake tomorrow, so like, he rented it out, so make sure y'all pull up. And then Meech gives Mama the message saying you need to do something for you, worry about you sometimes, essentially. And Lucille says, all right, well, I'm gonna throw this dress on because I'm gonna make him want me. Because
Lucille hit the joke from Baby Boy. When May Man bought the joint for $40, like, I'm gonna squeeze my little ass in this.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
cute.
yeah. So skipping the scene with Team Marquisha going shopping, I already talked about that. But at the roller party now, Meech asked T, where is your ponytail, my guy? He said, man, you pussy whip.
There you go.
But then Mom rolled up there to see them, but obviously she's just real solo. And why is she solo? Because my man Charles is at the telly, asking if Mabel wants to put another quarter into this device that I have never seen ever in my life. It seems hella weird. And
so weird that you've never heard of a vibrating bed.
No,
man,
terrible.
But you've heard of a water bed, right?
Of course,
it's not a vibrating bed.
Yeah, I had a water bed for a little bit. My people had got me one. That didn't last long because what else would a kid do with a water bed? Fuck that joint up and make it leak.
Exactly. hey, that water bed is like top 3 the worst ideas in human history,
bro. You know what? You know what? No one ever
positive about a water bed.
You know what? No one ever talks about how strong the borders of them joints. Used to, man, as a kid, used to get fucked up on those edges. Those wood was like triple enforced. Like you hit that, you breaking something. And the way if you jump on that bed the wrong way, you fly off and hit the edge of that bed, you done.
Don't jump on that bed. Hell nah, Joe.
I think I knocked myself out one time when I was little. Fuck around with that joint.
I remember what they said the purpose of a water bed was for. That was not the purpose of a water bed. It made no sense. Yeah. Water beds are a horrible invention that I don't know why people in the 80s were with the vibrating beds when they thought, even though vibrating beds still do exist to this day in different forms anyway.
Yeah.
Like them Craftmatic Jones got vibrating settings on their beds.
Yeah.
So they still exist.
So Charles and Mabel not clicking, man. Mabel doesn't look satisfied as she pulls out the cigarette and she's on the side of the bed and Charles is trying to figure out something, but she says, man, maybe it's time for us to call it quits. This is like, I don't know. We're going to guess 1 day later after they have just decided that they needed to do this.
You see, she threw the hint out there to him, though.
Yeah, well.
Like I gave my other man, we did it during the threesome, and Charles' face said, threesome? And we already know the situation with her and her friend that we've been hinting towards. I think this was just a way for her to get Charles interested in trying something a little different to see if maybe he wants to go a little further. With this freak nasty relationship. After you can't get it up in a hotel room, she's like, look, we got to do something else.
So Charles got his pseudo invitation to the swingers club, but it is. But beyond that, now she also talking about how much she respects Lucille and whatnot. And she says, I borrow so much stuff from her. Maybe it's time I give you back.
That's a dirty ass line.
I was like, damn,
that's a boss ass line.
Damn, bro.
She didn't offer to get a pan back. She offered to give you back. Like, you gotta understand. She like, that skill is still useful, but
not you.
You ain't useful no more. You ain't doing the things you used to do.
Yeah. Let me get through some of these other things. We got the skate party now. Marquisha shows up. Didn't see that coming. But LaWanda was ready to go and bash him in the head with the skates because she said, man, he got me fucked up.
Parties are dangerous. Skate parties and bowling parties.
Yeah,
man.
But Meech stops her and said, man, you always been A1 since day one. And YT has no loyalty. You all this affirmation about why she was just always like the better, more wise person. And he said, I love T to death, but he made his bed. Maybe it's time for you to make your. Listen, Meech gave out endless ultimatums this entire episode. Gave one to his mom, gave one to Bleak, gave one to Bleak Boys, gave one to the PAs, gave one to T, and now giving one to LaWanda, which. Who would have thought that the statement he made almost really saved the entire day because it could have got pretty ugly. But after that, though, we get couple skating, which is always an interesting time if you ever went skating because you're either going to see who's paired up and who's single and when you may need to strike because this may be your opportunity.
That's all this was growing up. at Crystal Skating Ring in DC.
Absolutely.
This was the opportunity.
Yep, Crystal's in Willow. I was out there.
Hey, the moment I knew you ain't with somebody,
yep.
Let me skate up next to you.
Yep. And I mean, like, it was just as easy as like getting ready to go out there and just grab a hand, and you just gotta go with it, you know. But unfortunately, Lucille looking real single right now, out there by herself. But Meech do pull up on her. And then what do we have here? Charles shows up like it's all good. We get Monique on the side looking blown because she wished Zoe could be there. But Meech says, make sure you stick with the plan. I also realized that Meech's other baby mom wasn't there either. So, but anyway, Lucille goes to get their stuff out the lockers and pulls out Charles' jacket, and a receipt falls out of it for the Easy Rest Motel. At one point, I put in my notes, I said Easy Rest Hotel, but why would I give Charles that much credit? That's a goddamn motel with those little quarter machines that vibrate and shit.
It was hotels back then that had them, damn it.
But Lucille storms past him, and I thought Charles was hella aggressive here for no reason. It's like, man, what he said, what the hell is wrong with you? At Lucille, and Lucille went the fuck off on him. And ultimately said, go back and be with the bed you just left. Get your hands off my son. And Meech comes in looking like, well, we knew this was coming. So yeah.
I guess you gonna pack your bags and leave that motherfucker next, huh?
So we got the detective surveillance and Hoop, and they talked about how she was able to even get information, talk about what a wink and a smile could do. And then Detective Jen says, so that kiss is a one-time deal, okay? Anywho,
no. Get to the part that really got you bothered. That's all.
I just
waiting this whole episode for you to get.
I just don't understand.
I already know.
I don't understand the game she playing here. Like this. I had fun the other night with you and your son, but the kiss one-time thing, and then immediately frustrations, and we'll get there. But they're taking pictures of this house because as they follow Hoop from his one place to there and saying like, who house is this? And then the truck comes out. Looks like they switch cars. But then he said, wait, I didn't see anything about his file being military. So Jen and Brian goes after that car, pulls the guy over. Jen knows him. He knows Jen. And he obviously knows his rights. Brian was usually going to do what he usually do, but he says that I'm just trying to go meet up with my fellow servicemen. And Jen kind of gives the nod, like, yeah, let him go. This was just strike one. But what was your thoughts about how this kind of went out here? Because I think it's significant for them because they got a driver that was able to get themselves out of a situation calmly too.
It was because of his relationship with Jen. She's not. I think because she understands what it means to be in that position, to be someone who needs that connection with other service members. So she's not gonna. This is the situation. She's not gonna let Brian pull a bully move here.
Yeah.
And then you're dealing with somebody who clearly knows his rights, which is another awesome thing you need to have in a driver, is someone who knows their rights. Because the first thing he said is, shouldn't he have asked permission to even go in that car? Like at that point, that means whatever you find is inadmissible anyway. Yeah. You never asked me, could you get in my car in the first place? Yeah. And that's when Brian gets mad, and he normally does his bully tactic, but it wasn't going to work here.
Yeah,
because he met his match. He met someone who fully understood, like, you're not going to do this, and someone who his partner respected enough to let them go in their way.
Yeah,
like this just shows here, like, Jen is crooked in a way, but she's still herself, and it showed that this guy clearly she sees him as dealing with some form of trauma, the same trauma that she's currently dealing with that we learn later on about. So. Yeah. It's the sympathy card that kicked in, and she's like, just let him go.
She has morale. She just got caught up with Brian and following his lead. I wouldn't even necessarily say she's crooked, because independently, I think she makes good decisions. She hasn't done anything to lead me to think she's corrupt. But with Brian holding the lead and Brian pretty much setting her up to fail, she was like, well, we are without options here. And I talked about it, like, if she did come clean with that, she would still get fired. She's a woman. That was easy. Like, oh, let her go.
That's true.
She was with him, so her hand was against the wall. I think that, again, she has good morals. She hasn't always been totally clean in what she do. I think the unprofessionalism of them working together and sleeping together, I don't think that's a good thing. But I just think that,
you know, you don't think that's a good thing.
I want a job at STARZ. I want to be in BMF season 3. My numbers are very simple, folks. I'll take $1,000 an episode and a contact clause of 8 episodes. Easily.
$1,000 an episode? Man, my time is worth way more than that. You gonna have need at least 5 to 10.
I just don't want it to be a difficult decision here. The easy thing is,
I understand what you're trying to do.
I'm also willing to go.
You want that other clause, and you want that other STARZ clause in there. Too.
I'm also willing to double my clause by episode if need. That thing that Markeisha said, T ready for round 3, I can give that on screen. Like, you don't have to imagine that. Like,
yeah, who but me?
Yeah. So back in the office now, they said they got a visitor, and LaWanda shows up, and LaWanda is having a moment where she's just kind of like, you know, what do you call it? Like meditating, but also just like psyching herself out. She's repeating A1 since day one. And she said, listen, those photos did piss me off. And she also is not sure she's going to do the right thing. But she said, stay away from my family. And she's loyal because she said, you're not going to break the bond with my family. And, you know, he's the father of my kids. But yeah, you're not going to break the bond with my family. And she said, all right, and got the fuck out of there. And Jen says, well, this is strike 2. Listen, I'm not striking out today. I need to blow some steam. You remember what you said when we were surveillancing the other day? And I'm just like, hold up. And I hate the fact that Detective Bryant face was exactly my face. I'm like, wait, what? I was like, oh no. So she not striking out, and I don't even know what happened after that. I think that's the end of the episode. I don't think nothing else happened.
Nah. She you know, she got put against the wall. You know, she did her powerisms there, and you know, Steve got a little, you know, got to blame some cheeks on BMF.
Yeah.
Some Kelly cheeks on BMF for that.
I saw a bunch of comments saying they better not have sex. Well, I thought the same thing, but here we go.
Now.
Yeah.
So what now, Joe? Hey, but it made sense after the fact when you hear Detective Jen talk and everything that she's been through, that she can't. I think it affects her more when things don't go the way they should. Yeah. And everything with LaWanda was wonderful. I love the way this was set up because she only did that because of her conversation with Meech.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can't take down T without taking him down.
Yeah, never would have thought that Meech was the motivational speaker that would have made this all happen here.
Hey, man.
But in all seriousness, I do understand why Jen made the decisions that she's made, because I also think that people make sex such a very like delicate thing to talk about here, but let's just call it what it was. She said, with all this stress, I need to decompress. I'm tired of like taking these L's today. And I think the bigger question is, because why this is not romantic at all. This was this was a very formal
animal
agreement
type.
Yeah. So what does this do for the two of them is the big question here. Because again, it's not romantic. So I'm not saying, oh, they're going to start dating. But I talked a lot about what last week, what being around Kev and Brian at the house, what it meant to her. And as I said, she's very much alone. Which she, you know, if we had a little bit more time to kind of analyze, but I could bet that her house is spotless. She don't have company coming through the air, and it was without a doubt like come through. Like I've been waiting for companies to some extent. It's kind of easy to kind of profile her a little bit, but the real question is, what does it mean for the two of them? As a woman who has been suspicious of his activities in terms of him being crooked or dirty, like the other folks have said, them being able to be partners, but also trust one another. As I said, we have to be fully transparent in order to operate in the way he does. And then there's Brian in the sense of just no connection at all here. I don't even think he felt anything. I think he was just kind of like, I'll see you tomorrow. I mean, he did have a little bit of remorse of what she's gone through. I mean, he said, you taking acupuncture or what? And she admits straight up. I self-harm because of the things I go through.
It helps relieve pain.
And he said, well, basically we all got our things, but I'll see you tomorrow, which is a very, I'm not gonna say corporate, but it's a very straight answer of just like, I understand, I'll see you tomorrow, no problem. But I also feel like he did care there to say, like, I appreciate her saying that. I probably got my own stuff. I think there's something we could probably even find out here. But yeah, overall, with all that being said, what do you think?
That I don't think this is going to complicate their relationship because both of them understood what this is. Like, I don't think Jen, I think the effect of their partnership had more impact when she spent the day that evening with them watching movies. That blurred the line. Sex doesn't blur a line here. Like you can have sex with anybody and the next day be cool with them and not ever even bring it up. We're in that animal instinct takes over. People are humans. So I don't think that was ever the issue here. It's going to be, though, did this help her develop more trust with Bryant? I don't think so. Because it didn't even seem that way. Granted, she did tell him the story about her self-harming, which could lead to it being that she's opening up more to him, but I don't think it's in a romantic way. I think it's in a partnership way. I don't see this going like, I pray it doesn't go the route where she falls or either one of them falls for the other person. That would be a doomed relationship.
I think the only thing that makes sense that just doesn't go way off the rails here is that he disrespects her, because I don't know if that's a thing just yet. I know he knows that, like, she's tough, she can hang, but does he respect her? And when I mean, like, does he say this is my female partner, or is it just my partner? Does he see eye to eye with her, or is she still just his trainee?
But remember the way he looked at her when she was playing with his son, though. So
and that's a major for him. Major.
So if anyone was to fall for it, it would be him falling for her.
That would be something.
I think she is great at separating her emotions from any situation because of her situation with her sister and things of this nature that they've hinted towards. I think that's not her issue at all, but it could be one for him.
Yeah, we're gonna see. That's a big question, big moment in this episode. Getting to the final parts of this episode, we get Meech and Terry, and they're asking about, now that mom knows about the affair, what are we gonna do? And then Terry looks at me, he's like, wait, you already knew about this, didn't you? But now we find out that Auntie Rose had got jacked by Lamar and Alvin as Lamar stole the trucks. They run that truck. So Lamar is watching, and T said, do we need to switch it up? And he says, nah, fuck that, we keep doing what we do. And then they said, like, he gets a call, but they said, we got to freeze him out. We got it. Anybody that fuck with him, blackball them essentially. But
he about to turn him into Colin Kaepernick. Like, nigga, if you anywhere near him, you get no play from us. Mm-hmm. That is the ultimate way to neutralize Lamar, because at that point, who the hell is backing him?
Yeah. So B Mickey is looking lost. Like, what the hell? This look like the character he's playing from Stranger Things. I was like, wait, what's happening here?
Yeah.
But Meech, because of the call he got, runs up on him like, man, where the fuck you been? And he lays it all down. And I mean, we never seen B Mickey this startled and emotional. Yeah. He says, he told him everything about being locked up in the car, what happened with Bryant, and his mom dying and all that other stuff. And he's basically saying, like, listen, I got to make a move on him, but understanding, Meech says, like, I can't let you do that. That's just gonna bring more heat on everything and whatnot. Yeah. But anyway, he says, what he got on you? Then he mentions about the gun he used for J-Mo. But then Meech definitely wisens up really quickly and says, like, hey, when you were a CI, did he ever bring you in? He said, no, this kind of
no paperwork on it.
Yep. He said, yeah. So, oh, okay. So this is definitely off the books and whatnot. So that means that gun isn't in evidence. That is in his house, and he not home because he's smashing Jen's cheeks right now. and they run up in that joint, and then the detective scene with them happening afterwards. She's talking about the self-harming, but we in Brian house. His son Kevin there by himself at night. Interesting move by a cop here.
Hey, he don't care about that kid.
Clearly. But he's listening to music. B Mickey goes in the house, now looking through the stuff. Oh, first of all, he what do you call it? Throws the thing over Kev's head.
He worked way too hard to neutralize that little boy.
Yeah, neutralized him, threw him in the closet, and just ransacked the house.
All you do is choke him out.
Yeah.
30 seconds. I like a lot.
Yep. So he just throws everything around the house looking for it and whatnot, sees his picture. I mean, B Mickey's enraged, slams his picture, but he doesn't get the gun because Bryant shows up. B Mickey escapes, get picked up by Meech, and then he just breaks down essentially, talking about I fucked up, which he really didn't fuck up. I could be wrong here.
He fucked up.
He didn't get the gun, but he just kept saying I fucked up. I fucked
up.
Be
safe.
For sure.
Run
for
with
sure.
Safe.
But I mean, like everything he was saying, I don't think he said he fucked up. He's like, he didn't see him. He said, I know he gonna know it's me.
He's paranoid. He's
paranoid. Right, yeah, he didn't really fuck up, but he definitely had more options, or the options he didn't think he had here. Yeah. But Meech let him know, like, man, you're my brother. I got you forever. I would never let anything happen to you. And because of this sort of battle that just happened here with the intrusion in Brian's house, he already knows that Brian's going to come back. So as we get the narration by T, the real T, he says it's time to gear up for battle. And that is the episode here. What did you think about the last scene, and overall close us out with your thoughts about this episode?
So the last scene, I am really now wondering when are we going to get to the point where this B Mickey situation causes a huge issue between T and Meech?
Yeah.
Because I can see T trying to kill B Mickey eventually.
Yeah.
Because at this point, what is his purpose? He's around. He is a safety hazard that needs to be dealt with. Yeah. So I can see T attempting to get rid of him. I do like that we see just how what we always know the most important thing to Meech is his family. And B Mickey is his family. He's going to protect him no matter what.
Yeah.
Here, the point he even stayed around with him while he ransacked Bryant's house says a lot. That he was the one who waited for him and he picked him up. Like, in the end, he's going to protect his brother, with his other brother, B Mickey, no matter what. So I did like that correlation. As it pertains to this whole episode, look, as we coming close to the end of this season, like I love when they start closing down these storylines and things that are going to cause problems moving forward. This whole situation, I am highly interested with the family dynamic now. Now that Charles is out there completely, how does this change Lucille? Because we clearly see she gave Meech no feedback about him buying her what he bought her that was extremely expensive. And she knows where the money comes from at this point. It's not a secret anymore.
Is this a good ultimatum that she says, man, you got to do some stuff for yourself? And I guess she was like, okay, yeah, I do. But also,
that's not nothing against her. It's a step forward.
But also understand that she only did it because she knew this would benefit her and Charles' relationship.
Well, she thought it would.
Yeah, of course, she thought it would. She thought like, oh, if I got something for Charles, I mean, listen, Lucille is far from always doing the most holy and righteous thing. I think right now, if I could do the math, Nicole credit score got to be like 580.
Nah, Nicole walk around here with an 825. They paid off the Sears card.
No, they didn't. They not with that 40% interest from. No, they didn't. That drove worse than a student loan now. She hurting.
Meech gave them a key. Like, here, I give you a whole key. Just take this $200 off this card for me.
Oh man.
But we all get to the point of the show where like everything is closing out. This T and Markeisha situation also. Meech and his Meech-isms, the way he is promoting black people, like Meech need to have like Meech fix my life. He need to replace Ayanla at this point because the way he is just speaking word to power, to all of these people in this episode is amazing here. But again, it also is helping build that family atmosphere that we know exists with BMF.
Yeah. As the synopsis says, Meech turns dealers into kingmakers. I was like, okay, we're gonna see what's happening in this episode. But nonetheless, we now have checked out this episode. We done reviewed it, we done recapped it, and it's time for you all to get into the comments, the chat, whatever it may be. Let us know your thoughts about tonight's episode. And y'all already know what it is. We got a couple more episodes of this season left, but we got tons more content on the way. So, stick around, subscribe, all that other good stuff. And we'll see y'all back next week for another recap review of BMF.